So I have done, sorry. So I'm primarily somebody from open source community, and I wear a lot of hats. But so today I'm going to talk about the aspect of that in related to Sri Lanka brand, so on and etc. I think we have been talking about a lot recently. So let's start with looking at where we are. Okay, so in global uh, country brand index, we are at the 60th, which is not very bad. It's pretty good, right? However, that brand come a lot from what the Mother Nature gave us. Sri Lanka is beautiful, and what our forefathers gave us. A lot of historical stuff, right? And there isn't much. I mean, there is some brand that our generation built, but not that much. So to give you an idea, let me compare Sri Lanka and Switzerland. Okay, so people, Switzerland has almost 1/3. Land area, smaller. GDP, okay? And you could look for, I mean, we, like 30 years, we had a lot of problems with the language and different nationalities, so on and so forth. But look at Switzerland. Switzerland, 1/3 speak French, 1/3 speak German, 1/3 speak Italian. And most of the time, they don't speak the other language. And as you would guess, Switzerland is in between three countries: France, Germany, and Italy, right? And their history is worse than us. You can guess what happened when you're in a small country in three countries. So if you try to find a reason why we haven't done very well, we'll find something, but chances are it's not a very good one, right? So, but in general, we have quite a few positives, right? We are pretty good on Human Development Index. Sri Lankans value education. We have good English, so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of room to improve. So in the 19th century, British Empire focused a lot on go and acquiring trade rights. For example, in China, they actually went and conquered their capital, but gave it back and went away. All they want is trade rights. Why? Because that means everything would flow through London harbor, and the government and England would get 1/3 of everything, which make a huge difference. Due to the same reason, uh, the development of a country is very much connected with the business run in that country, right? Because they pay tax, they pay salaries, and they bring a lot of foreign exchange. Now, it's great if you could like start a huge big company. Generally, it's hard. You first do build medium and small and medium-sized businesses, which you try to grow up. Okay, so if you look at Sri Lanka inward, Sri Lankan market is not generally big enough. Okay, somebody need to fix this. Sorry. Okay, I'll continue, but sorry. Okay. Sri Lankan market is not big enough for. Sorry, no, the ice is from the. This is from the. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay, it doesn't turn up here. Sorry. Okay, so Sri Lankan market is not big enough generally for billion-dollar revenue company. I mean, Dialog, SLT, they come, Dialog come to like 400 million. But I mean, generally the telco is one of the biggest in the country. So, so that means you have to look out, right? So Another, also a very another interesting aspect is that you cannot compete. Countries like Sri Lanka could never compete with services for the simple reason that China and mainly China and India would simply flatten us with lot of people. They have a lot of people they can put onto the work, right? And actually, they are poorer compared to Sri Lankan people, so they would take much lower wage, right? And they would get a lot of advantage. Sorry, let me finish it. No, not that. Oh, okay, it's not plugged. Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. So you couldn't compete, and so basically, I mean, it's okay to have service companies, but that's not the ticket to escape to the high income world, right? Because you can't scale those. The way to get away is product companies. The good thing about product companies is that the income has nothing to do with the people, number of people work for you. Like companies like Facebook, companies like even like Netflix, the one person bring in revenue. I mean, if you take the revenue and base it by number of people in millions, right? So generally the way out is product companies, right? And if you look at a product company, the the thing is product companies are hard because people has to know you. They have to come and buy your stuff. The way to do that is the brand, right? Now, for example, Sri Lankan tea had brand, but unfortunately, other companies were making a lot of money out of that brand until Dilma, etc., came in, and I mean, Dilma did a lot of good work there. And Sri Lanka has a lot of, we do a lot of textiles, but we don't own the brands, which means that we basically we kind of become services. They pay us for the amount of like work we do for them. We don't have like, for example, if they scale it up, we'll get the wages, but not the profits, right? So in this world, the key is quality or quantity, because we can never win the game of the quantity. It's the quality. So we need to go for high margin, um, uh, generally IP, high margin businesses, right? And they are very hard. Like these three are, I am sure you can guess what are the countries. These are the three countries which are on top of the brand index. The first, Japan; the second, Switzerland; the third, German, right? You could guess from the brands, right? So, and also remember in the world, income is not equally distributed. 80% of money is in 20% of the people. So they would generally very often pay for more than 80% of your income money. So the way most of the time to to escape it, you need to target this high quality, high brand things. So, I mean, there are many ways to do this, right? It's not necessarily IT, but IT is a very, very uh, good, sorry, IT is a very, very good place to go. So when I was at my grad school, I had a friend who was from physics department. He one day and complained. I met him. We were chatting. He's from physics. He said, "We 80% of the time we write code, right?" So of course he meant it as a complaint. I took it as a compliment, because if you, it doesn't matter which field you learn. If you do grad studies, 80% of time you write code. It is IT that you do. The computer science is called third pillar of science because the science goes on three pillars: the theoretical foundation, empirical studies, and simulations, right? Any high-tech thing, plane, aircraft, etc., all design, most of the work done in simulations with computer science. And it's about $3.5 trillion industry, right, with pretty high margins. And so the also within computer science, open source had so the idea of open source is that people get together and build software that people use, basically people could use for free. And then people make money by providing services on top of it, but main thing is free. So it has found a lot of adoption, right? The one very nice thing about open source is to go and make an investment in open source, you could do without, I mean, you basically need a computer and you need people with good brains, right? So of course you need help and support, but it's not like trying to build an aircraft, right? You could start pretty small. So like I have been, so I think about 10 years had worked with uh, different parts of different open source projects, mainly through Lanka Software Foundation, right, with Sanjeev Mesle. So I'll talk about two projects, right, as two examples, right? So the first one is called Access to, right? And the chances are that you chances are that you would have used Access to very recently. You wouldn't see it because it's in the server. But if you have like bought something in the web, like from Amazon, from eBay, if you buy a airplane, you make a payment. Pretty much most of the things you would do at the back end, Access to would be somewhere, right? It's one of the two main uh, the web service frameworks. This story starts long time ago. Actually, I think about 2003. The earlier version of Axis, it's basically called Axis. It's the first version. Four of us actually did a project at that point, trying, only a POC, trying to take Access to and change it to be faster. We make it work for like 10 times faster for some use cases. You know how performance works, right? But it was enough for go and show it to Access people. And this is the time where people are saying websites are slow, it's bulky, so on and so forth. So it's enough for go and show it to Access people and say, let's do an Access to using these ideas, but let's rewrite this, right? And using the same result, Sanjeev was able to receive funds from SIDA for about 2 years. It's about 2-year project. So there was about 7 people, and we got help from like a lot of committers from initial Access projects, which so basically we released Access first version about 2005, right? And so I'll show the download thing in a few slides. So actually the WSO2, the company I work for, which was started later on top of those Access to things, right? But the Access to, I mean, it has been used by other people in many other means in many ways. The second one, Sahana, uh, I'm sure again you would have heard this somewhere. Uh, the so this actually, there are some good things come out of bad things. This was created as part of tsunami. Rather, when the tsunami happens, a set of people get together and build this to track basically manage the disaster. It was, I don't know, the usefulness of that for that specific tsunami was, I mean, it's not that easy to just build something and use it, right? But later it built to our own project. Again, when I was at Bloomington, at one point somebody came and asked, do you know the Sahana people? I asked, yes, but how do you know? Apparently, she was doing a course on disaster informatics, and Sahana was being taught as an example of a disaster management software. So it's used by UN, the New York disaster management plan based on Sahana. It was like, I mean, we computer guys not very often get shown on BBC. This thing was shown on BBC, right? So that's the second one. So if you look back, uh, compared to 10 years before, Sri Lanka is pretty well known, right? If you mention you are from Sri Lanka, at least on those communities, people know, right? And we have about 10 Apache members, more than 10, number increase, and 100 plus committers. At my time, getting committership was a nightmare, but most of the people graduate nowadays are committers. Easy, because it's just the reputation goes after. We have about 20 PhDs finished from that wave. We have about more than 40 reading for PhDs right now, right? And the time I went for my PhD is not that easy to get in, but I have written recommendation for like people went for like they get into places like MIT, Princeton, UCSC, all these places. Like easily 10 goes every year now, right? So so I'm sure you have heard like we have been University of Morocco have been first in Google Summer of Code for 7 years back to back. We lost it this time, but still second, right? And so on and so forth. So and there are a lot of people coming back, right? So I mean, I very often for my we like talk to people who want to come back. I mean, the coming back is not easy. Like if you have been in different country for like 20 years, it's tricky to come back. Take a lot of work to come back, but there's a lot of interest. And actually, we have 4 or 5 people who came back. So uh, let me wrap up basically by saying, so the first we need the way to get out of way to get to the high income world like Singapore, so on and so forth. You need you need companies, you need brand. That's the only way. It's almost the only way you find like a lot of oil that you can't control. Right? So we need to like think long term, try to do high impact projects, think global. We need a lot of companies, right? And we have to think a little bit differently from companies. I mean, we were talking about entrepreneurship a lot, and one comment which I agree is that the main problem for entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka is parents, because they want the kids to or even if the kids can get a job wherever they like any point, they would like they want them to work for a known company, maybe for lesser salary but known company. So let me wrap up by showing this picture. This is Sagrada Familia. It's a big church in Barcelona done by Antonio Gaudi. What's interest about is that it's not finished. It's supposed to finish in like another 15 years. And Gaudi was already dead for years. He had done plans. He had planned to do this for a very long time. So if we get Sri Lanka to where we are, it will take a lifetime. Most of us wouldn't live. But it'll take the work, but we have to work through it.